Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Great Nature Cardfight Vanguard standard deck profile for post The Answer of Truth. This was the next profile I wanted to do after Gear Chronicle from the booster set. Had my girlfriend Marissa make this deck for this set, so big thanks to her for letting me use the deck for the deck profile. It's a really fun deck. The whole point of the Great Nature deck this time around doesn't really revolve too much about, powering up your rear guards, then retiring them for effects. They took a whole new turn with the deck, basically being, sending cards from the top of the deck for different effects and abilities that you can gain from depending on what type of card. Working around the whole, Monoculus, and Leopold cards, and then the Hamsuke cards all work together just as kind of like a ride chain style for some additional abilities as well. It's a really interesting deck with a lot that it can do. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the grade 3s, I run 4 School Hunter Leopold. If you have a grade 3 in your soul, this unit's auto ability activates 2 times, and its ability is when placed, put the top card of your deck into your drop zone and perform one of the effects below, depending on the card type. If it is a normal unit, you look at the 4 cards at the top of your deck and call up to 2 grade 2 or less cards from among them to rear and shuffle your deck. And if it is a trigger unit, this unit gets plus 15 in extra critical until the end of the turn. So it's great pressure-wise, being able to call consistent rear guards with the 1, and then just basically pressuring your opponent with Leopold's big power for the trigger units. Having the grade 3 in your soul definitely does help, just for the fact that you'll get it twice. So depending on what you send off, you can either have an immensely big vanguard, you can have multiple rear guards filled up onto your field without having to use up your hand, or you can even have both for both of the pressure that it provides, which really does help overall with having multiple Leopolds and just being able to do this consistently each turn, with also giving you the multiple rear guard circles to use, and with its own effect, being able to call to those rear guards is one thing that's great with it overall. And I also run 4 Pencil Hero Hamsuke, a very interesting card. This was actually one that I thought if I was going to do a budget Great Nature deck profile, I would focus solely on this being the main card for the deck. When placed, if you have a Pencil Knight Hamsuke and Pencil Squire Hamsuke in your soul, you discard 2 cards from your hand and you get an Imaginary Gift Excel. Search your deck for up to 1 Pencil Knight Hamsuke and 1 Pencil Squire Hamsuke and call them to rear and shuffle your deck. So you already get the Excel circle when you ride the Pencil Hero Hamsuke, but being able to get an additional one, then being able to place Pencil Squire and Pencil Knight on those circles to use is immense pressure overall, for the fact that on those circles they'll have the plus 10,000 power, and meaning you didn't have to call any of those cards from your hand to those circles, just means you have bigger numbers overall as well. And then having that grade 3 setup, obviously next turn for Leopold, which will also give you an additional circle. Overall, it's just way better, I would say, consistent wise, for making use of your Excel circles in the best way possible. And then lastly, for the grade 3s, I decided to run 1 Armed Instructor Bison. Unlike Hamsuke and Leopold, this one also has a rear guard ability. When it attacks, you counterblast 1, and one of your other rear guards gets plus 5,000 to the end of the turn. If this unit is on your vanguard, you stand that rear guard. So it's great on rear guard, just being able to get that plus 5,000 power. It might help some Excel units along with their triggers, just be able to hit against some of your opponent's big numbers, especially if they're using a force deck. On the vanguard, it's all the better, because then you'll have just multiple attacks by being able to stand a rear guard as well. So a good overall option, just as having an Excel circle and then being able to use just those abilities for multiple attacks, especially with some of your big attack units for sure. And that is it for the grade 3s. We'll now move on to the grade 2s. I run 4 Binoculus Tiger. When it attacks a vanguard, you counterblast 1 and put the top card of your deck into your drop zone and perform one of the effects below, depending on that card's type. If it's a normal unit, you draw a card. If it's a trigger unit, you choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and 3 units in the front row get plus 5,000 until the end of the turn. Vanguard or rear, very, very helpful for sure. The draw consistency for the normal unit kind of makes up for maybe the power that the trigger would maybe provide. But even if you don't get the trigger and you end up milling it, you have the +5 to the front row, which is immense pressure as well. Just with some of these 9K powers for grade 2s, not being able to hit 10Ks, having that option available to you to go up against your opponent is a very big help for sure in this deck also. And I also run 4 Pencil Knight Hamsuke. Now with Pencil Hero needing Pencil Knight and Squire in the soul for this, just very, very helpful for sure. If your Vanguard is Pencil Hero Hamsuke, this unit gets plus 3,000 on rear guard. And when it's on Vanguard during the battle they attack, if Pencil Squire Hamsuke is in your soul, this unit gets plus 5,000. So once again, going back to if you can combo this card with Binoculus Tiger, you can hit for some pretty big numbers with its own power plus, and just with the fact that it doesn't need a boost to hit some of your opponent's force units if they're on grade 2 and they're at like 10k power. Then Pencil Knight can hit them on their own without having the need of a trigger unit or a card to boost. So very, very helpful with those numbers for sure. And I also run 4 Geograph Giant. This one on the additional rear, it gets plus 8,000. It's a continuous effect, so always active on rear. So great pressure as well, especially with that 10,000 power on the Excel Circle also. So can't go wrong with 4 of this, just for that pressure alone as well. And depending on how you might want to set up your Hamsuke circles also, can be a big help with just having this option as a guaranteed. This will be on the Excel Circle for sure. And that is it for the grade 2s. We'll now move on to the grade 1s. I run 4 Binoculus Tiger. It shares the same kind of mechanic as Leopold and Binoculus. On Vanguard or rear, when it attacks or boosts a rear guard, you Soul Blast 1 and put the top card of your deck into your drop zone and perform one of the effects below on that type of card. So basically, with it, normal unit, your opponent cannot call Sentinels from his or her hand to the end of that battle. And your opponent can only call trigger units from his or her hand to the end of that battle when it mills a trigger unit. So you have immense pressure with this card, just being able to limit your opponent on what they can guard with this card for sure. It can't work when it boosts the Vanguard, otherwise it would be incredible with Leopold, especially for that additional crit pressure. Just remember it has to boost a rear guard to gain the boost effect, but I don't think it really limits it too much there. I would say definitely more fair for sure with that option, but still very, very helpful, just keeping your opponent on their toes since they don't have a set method on what they can guard with when you use this card. And then I also run 4 Pencil Squire Hamsuke, just another important card for the deck since it's needed to successfully use your Pencil Knight Hamsuke with Pencil Hero. So with that card as the option, you have it available to you with its rearguard effect. If your Vanguard is Pencil Hero Hamsuke, this unit gets plus 4,000. And being an 8k with a 12k power on rear is definitely helpful just with that number for sure. And at the end of your turn, you Soul Blast 1, put this unit into your soul, search your deck for up to 1 Pencil Knight Hamsuke, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So it helps with the consistency for the ride chain as well, just being able to consistently have Squire in the soul and then ride into Knight after searching it. I'll just make sure you always have like another grade 1 to ride into, just because you want Squire on the rear guard, just so you're guaranteed to have that search for your grade 2, which is very helpful also just with the ride chain consistency in the deck also. And then lastly, for the grade 1s, I run 4 Tank Mouse. With this one, when your card is put into your drop zone from your deck, you counterblast 1, return that card to your hand. Only 1 card can be returned, even if multiple cards are put. But it's a once per turn, very, very helpful for sure. Just making use of those milled cards in a better way. Having just a Tank Mouse on the field when you use them definitely can just help with that recycle, depending on what card you might have put. If it was a Sentinel, or if it was just a card with useful ability that you might want to use on the field. Having Tank Mouse just be able to recover that once per turn is a definite help in the deck for sure. And then for the grade 0s, our starter, Blackboard Parrot, like all the starters for standard, just the Road Upon draw card. Very, very nice consistency for the soul for sure. And then for the triggered units, I was debating on what I wanted the lineup to be. I decided to go with Rainbow. So I run 2 of the Ruler Chameleon and 2 of the Triangle Cobra. Just you wanted to keep the, you wanted to use all of the different triggers in the deck. But I did like the Rainbow aspect, just basically because you have School Hunter Leopold in the deck as enough pressure with the criticals. But you still need a little more extra pressure for some of your rear guards, and that's where the critical numbers numbers come in, but you also want some bigger numbers to hit with your rear guards for power, along with their Excel circles. So also running 4 of the front trigger, so 2 alarm chicken and 2 castanet donkeys. Obviously triggers are, player preference, but still very, very helpful being able to have these to rely on for sure. If I went full force markers, I would be solely relying on, the critical pressure from Leopold. So that's why I didn't want to go full force. And if I went full critical, I would have, big numbers on rear with just the critical trigger, but being able to apply front triggers to all of them is a very important part of Great Nature for sure, I would say. And then for the draw trigger for Cable Sheep, it's the perfect guard as well, so pretty staple for most standard decks. And lastly, for the heal trigger for Dictionary Goat, just, the standard heal. I think each clan gets one, so the one we use for this deck. And that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. We got one more deck to do for the Answer of Truth, being Genesis, but there are actually 2 versions. You can build the Genesis deck with Divine Gauge and then just pure with Himiko. So we'll see which one we do first, but until then, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.